I have built my B2B startup in less than 7 days. Today in this video I'm going to share with you the tech stack that I use to achieve that. Just a quick reminder, I'm not affiliated to any of those packages or framework in any way. It's just what I use, what works for me, and what allows me to ship fast. So let's jump right into it. Frontend and backend, so the JavaScript framework, I am using Nuxt. I got asked many times why didn't you use Next.js, which is based on React, which is more famous. The answer is simple. So I just started with Vue during also my studies. I used to use a lot of C#, .NET, and this kind of stuff. So when I actually approached the web development, I just searched for the most minimalist framework. I tested multiple of them and I really liked Vue, how simple it is, how direct it is, and how perfect it is for medium to small size applications. Once I got into Vue, I basically just bumped into Nuxt, since it's like the meta framework of Vue, and I completely loved it. Like, I already shipped 3 products with Nuxt. It's so fast, it's so good. It has built-in features which are fundamental for SaaS. With Nuxt, you can very easily do stuff such as programmatic SEO and other stuff which can be considered a little bit more advanced, but it's very important to have in a startup. So I just picked Nuxt and I stick to it until now. So for the language, I use TypeScript in all my Nuxt projects. So in the backend, the frontend, everything is TypeScript. You have the option to use TypeScript. I do not understand why someone wouldn't want to use TypeScript. I need to have types, like I think they are very, very important. On the front-end side, I'm using Tailwind CSS. I'm using a framework of Tailwind CSS, which is Daisy UI. Basically just a wrapper that exposes to you certain classes that are already pre-built. You basically have widgets, cars, buttons, animation, models. I very much like it, the feeling that it gives. So they changed a little bit the style and the feeling of Daisy UI 5. To be honest, I liked more the feeling and the style of Daisy UI 4. I really need to see if I am going to use it for future projects. Probably yes, it's very fast to develop MVP and UI with it. Going backend, I do everything on Firebase. I know a lot of you are going to say, what? You use Firebase? Yes, I do. The reason is simple. It costs nothing up to a certain number of users. We're talking about 10,000 of users, something like that. So I think it's kind of okay for the most situations. It is true that Firebase not scale well. You have tens of thousands of users, you start paying a lot. So for example, if you have like 9,000 users, you usually do not pay anything. When you go up to just 12 or 15,000, you start paying a lot. I don't remember, but from 10 to 15,000 users, you basically paying already $1,000 in just authentication. And it is true when they say it doesn't scale well, but for the MVP, I think it's perfect. I mean, the integration is incredible. Also with Nuxt, you basically just slap a plugin into the codebase and everything works right away. It depends on the application. If you have an application that is multi-tenant, so your authenticated users are just your clients, you should be perfectly fine if you think about it. So if you have something like 8,000 users, which are basically 8,000 paying customers, you got $30 a month, how much is that? $240,000 a month. You can afford to pay like $1,000 or $2,000. In that case, you can always like switch. And this is the case of my SaaS. So in 2 words, it's basically a modern management software with integrated online booking system. The main pain point for my customers were the fact that they were spending too much time on the phone and they wanted a system to basically handle bookings automatically online. I don't know where you're from, but here in Italy, we are kind of behind. A lot of small, medium businesses do not have any tool to allow clients to book online. So the idea for my MVP was building a system where clients can go in without downloading anything. So they go on a link, fill certain data, pick the service, pick the date, and then book an appointment. So receiving an email and stuff like that. Basically, the core feature was a backend algorithm that was able to identify available dates for the appointment and suggest them to the clients, so that the business, the provider, can edit the way in which the system suggests the dates to the client, which is very cool. For example, if a business have like more operators in a certain day, he can force the system to push more on those dates and optimize the appointments during the week or during the month. My authenticated users are actually paying customers. Firebase is totally fine in this situation. 1,000 customers, we are talking about 1,000 authentication. I still do not pay anything, but I'm earning like more than 30 grand a month. There is one feature that I do not use on Firebase, which is analytics. I'm using Postdog. In my opinion, is basically Google Analytics more cool and beautiful, and it also has like a lot of customization. So for example, you can build dashboard, different charts, different aggregation. You can customize your dashboard. So if you're interested for a certain project, more like, for example, in daily active user, you can set up your dashboard like showing that. For the payment, I'm using, of course, Stripe. I also tried different solutions. I like the possibility to basically do anything with Stripe. The modularity it has, the abstraction, and basically the thing that you can do with it, it's just incredible. For deploying my project, I'm using Verso, and the reason is straightforward. It is the cloud hosting solution, which basically is the most well integrated with Nuxt. You just go into Verso, create an account, link a repository, and it's just going to pull the code. And since it's built with Nuxt, it already has like a lot of configuration that is already implemented into Verso. So when it pulls a repository which is built with Nuxt, it's just going to build and deploy it. The only thing that I did is basically select a specific branch to deploy it on. So mine is called release. So whenever I push on release, it's going to build a production release. So I can just push changes to the main, and then I have a little bash script like locally on my machine that I can run that is basically going to synchronize the main with the release. So Verso is going to see the commit on the release branch, and it's just going to pull the code and build the production. One thing, at least in the free plan, basically serves your API endpoints and dynamic routes with serverless function. When you call one of them, Verso has to start the serverless function. So you actually have to go through a cold start, which can take several seconds, like in my experience can take up to 8 seconds. That's kind of a downside. Depending on your API endpoints, you can always use caching and ESR on Verso. The experience becomes much better. Finally, AI tools. I do not vibe code, like everything that I build is basically coded by me. But of course, I use AI tools and AI chatbot like to help me. The majority of time that I ask to do something in the coding environment, it's broken, it doesn't work. They are, for example, referencing stuff that are not present in packages. They start hallucinating stuff, but it is very helpful when basically you have a problem, you really don't know how to fix it. It's basically going to give you 10 options, 9 out of 10 are going to be completely useless, but at least you're going to have like one which, even if it's not working, it can click something in your mind that you understand, oh, I didn't think about this, maybe that's the problem. You go in and fix it yourself. This method is going to save you like tons of time. Another thing that I use AIs for is writing a stupid script. So if I have to write a very stupid Python script, or for example a simple function, I usually start from the AI. I just log the prompt, it gives me the code, I just refactor it, test it, see if it's good. 99% of the times I change it, but then it works good. So basically I save a lot of time just starting from them and then adjusting the code. I use Gemini and Claude from Anthropic. The new Claude is very, very good, but since I actually do not use AIs that much, I do not pay for the Pro plan. So I use both because basically I have more messages. I just use one. When it ends, I use the second one. When it ends, I usually use my brain. The number of messages that I have with both, it's fine. So this is the tech stack that I use to build my products. And it is the one that I use to build my B2B SaaS that I'm launching here in Italy in basically under 7 days. Doesn't really matter which tech stack you use, as long as you stick to it and learn it. But I think there is also like situation which an option is better than another one. If you're doing like a very simple single page application, or for example, a product that is based on a script tag that you embed on other websites, is simply serving this JavaScript file. You can use whatever you want, but maybe using big frameworks such as Angular wouldn't be the best option. But if you're starting out and you need to learn a framework, it is true you can build everything with whatever you want. You can also use vanilla JavaScript, but learning and using Angular as an example wouldn't be the best option because you would have a learning curve which is extremely steep. Probably you would have much better time just learning Vue, which could take you like 2 to 3 days, and then just build the product in a week. The tech stack doesn't really matter, but I think that 80% of the time you can have different options which are the best for your specific situation. And then in the end, of course, the more you know, the better it is. So if you know all the frameworks, that would be like the ideal option because you can basically pick whatever you want, whatever you think is the best for that product that you're building in that moment. So this is it for the video. I'm going to code a little bit. Cheers.